All right, boys, another episode here in your 20s show. So, as you know, we're here in Chicago. We normally shoot this in the suburbs, and we actually are in the suburbs. We're in the southern suburbs, so actually by O Block, JK. But I'm here with one of the hot, trending videographers right now in Chicago. Can't miss him. And he's actually making noise, and he's upcoming with his own media company too as well. I'm going to say his name, but you guys are going to remember it anyways, because his name is Sebastian.
What up, pod? In your 20s. You're going to have to change the title, though, to In Your 30s, because I am 30, dog.
30 on the dot, or?
On the dot.
When'd you turn 30?
April. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll leave.
We shot this in February, and we're gonna put this out right now in July. Anyways, but no, to Sebastian, I mean, we met at this event, Italian event. Oddly enough, we were the only Mexicans. That's how we clicked.
Yes.
But no, shout out Kush. He invited me to the event. Phenomenal. The food was great.
That was great.
One thing that I was like, oh shoot, that we had in common too as well is like, you like video editing, you like to shoot content, you like to make content, create content. So like you have that, in my opinion, like an eye for art, creativeness. That's what I see, of course. And I wanted to ask you, man, like why and when? A lot of people don't like editing anything. They just like to be on camera and that's it. But you actually like to have the patience and the art and the craft. You enjoy it. Well, at least from my opinion.
So I will say this. Editing, it's a part of the whole process, but I will say it's not my favorite. I do like shooting. I'm very like gear oriented, but you know what I mean? You can't have one without the other. So, you know, over time I got better at editing, you know, put more focus on it. I had a lot of help from my business partner, Gerard. He's over there. He's not on camera, but he's a really great editor. He taught me a lot. And so, yeah, man, it's nice to be able to take whatever I'm thinking up here and then like put it into something and make something. Like I've always wanted to make stuff. Like I hated like working for other people, man. Like I just hated doing like day-to-day mindless tasks, you know, for somebody else. And, you know, I've always just wanted to create. So, you know, that's basically like why, you know, I do it, you know, like, do you want me to start? Like, where do you want me to start at?
No. I mean, I was just hearing you out right now because I wanted to say, dude, when did it first start? Like in high school, of course. Like we're in the culture where it's like our parents want us to go to college, of course, as well. But like I know who knows if you did. But during high school, how did you know that you just like picking up the camera and just shooting content, man? Taking photos, you know, playing around with the camera.
Yeah.
Did it start off the casting couch or like what? Did you?
Yeah, definitely. No. I started actually pretty young. Like my whole interest in video and like cameras and shit, basically, we can cuss on this cut, right?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, of course.
Cool. I'm just loosey-goosey. But, but yeah, so it basically started like pretty young. I was a kid. I remember going on vacation with my parents to Disney World. My dad had like an old kind of like VHS kind of camcorder. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, my man. And you know, I basically was like, "Oh, Dad, can I use it? Can I mess with it? Can I play with it?" You know, same thing with, you know, the digital cams, the point and shoots. They're kind of more popular now. They kind of came back. They're like retro cameras. Yeah, I guess that makes me feel old. But but yeah, like I remember being like on one of the Chicago, you know, architecture tours.
Okay.
And he gave me the camera. I was just shooting whatever I could see and whatever I liked. And then, you know, basically I got a lot of that like positive reinforcement, you know, from my dad. Like, oh, these are really great. And then I'm just like, boom, this is my personality now.
Oh, wow.
And so, you know, I kind of went through school, just doing the normal school thing. In high school, I really wanted to go to Columbia for the film program, right? Didn't really have the money for, you know, tuition, and loans were insane. I ended up going to community college for a little bit to try to like ease some of that, you know, financial burden. But in going to college, like I really didn't know like what I was doing. Like I kind of lost my track and lost my way, and I was just like, oh, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try that. Do more like the traditional route, like you know, our parents kind of like, oh, we'll do business or do
take the gen eds and figure it out.
Gen eds and figure it out later. Yeah. Right. And so I basically just dropped out, my man. I dropped out, and I'm like, why am I wasting money? Yeah, like not knowing what I'm doing. And I went into the workforce, did a couple of different jobs. I've, worked retail, I've worked customer service,
For sure.
Logistics. That was a more recent one.
For sure.
But, and then I really, what actually got me inspired to pick up a camera again was I read Gary Vee's first book, Crush It.
Was it the yellow one? The yellow cover? Or
It was the green one.
Okay.
Because I think he made Crushing It. I think was the sequel.
I just read his previous one, the
Yeah.
12 Keys of Success or something like that.
Yeah. So I read Crush It, and I was working a call center job, and I really resonated with him. Like his whole message of like taking what you're passionate about and then making a career out of it, and that the internet has so many resources for people that it's just free. It's just out there.
Right.
Like you could learn, you could teach yourself these things. You don't need like a traditional college degree. You don't need to go like the traditional path. You can like, if you're willing to put in the time and learn, like you can do it. And so that really resonated with me. And then I finally said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna get a credit card. I don't recommend this for everybody, by the way. So
Go bankrupt quick.
go bankrupt. Yes, no. I picked up a credit card. I just bought my first camera. It was like a Canon SL2, right?
Okay.
A mic, little things here and there, and then just slowly over time through like trial and error, like building up my gear. Like, I didn't like the way this looked. But this will help. Learning. YouTube University. I tell everybody I'm a graduate from that.
YouTube University. But to cut you off right here a little bit, to rewind a little bit,
Sure.
you already knew you like video editing and like the camera. Like in high school, I want to say, why don't you just take a peek at that, or why don't you try it in college? Like, why don't you do like a video software, like a class or something?
I did a class in high school. It was like a broadcasting class.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like me, kind of learning more about it. I remember my teacher, I don't remember his name. He's going to hate me. I'm just kidding. But I remember my teacher, we had an assignment because we would basically do the school news.
Okay.
And I had an assignment I had to film a segment for that week's, episode. I talked to him and convinced him. I'm like, what if instead of doing a regular segment, we do like a mini slasher film in the school? And he ran with it. He was like, okay. He's like, you're partnered with him and him. I'm like, if you guys can do it, he's like, you can go during your lunch period or whatever and film whatever you got to film. He's like, we had a week to do it.
Okay.
We did it. We premiered it. And it was like one of the coolest experiences that I remember. And that was like, wow, I love this. I love making stuff. I want to make films. I want to create stuff,
Well, that's cool because the professor your teacher at that time, he believed in you to actually take that and you executed that. You gave him an idea. He trusted you with it.
Yep.
And he made you do it. So when you shot that during college, you already knew that you wanted to do maybe media, maybe this, maybe a cartel, who knows? But my question is was there ever fear when you were in college trying to take a poke at social media/media? Did you get any judgments with that, saying that's not a real job? Because I know where I come from, and back then we're talking about 2010s.
Right.
YouTube was still coming up. Video editors weren't that big unless you were on MTV. So for me, I'm asking, how tough was it for you taking the criticism? Because dude, I get criticism when I started this, so I can imagine in 2010s, your friends, families not understanding you. Be like, hey, a media company, come on, grow up.
Right. There was some. There's some from family that they don't really 100% understand. They're like, oh, you do videos? Like, oh, that's cool. That's a fun hobby.
They call it a hobby. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a nice little side gig. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay. And oh, but what do you do for work? And then I'm like, talk about my day job, right? It was just, I kind of internalized it in a way where I was just I really wanted to prove him wrong.
Okay.
I'm very stubborn in that way where I'm like, somebody doesn't believe in me or thinks I can't do something, I'm like, no, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
So.
And that's where Gary Vee reassured that for you.
Yeah,
and I like that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Sharpen your skills up.
Just go big or go home. You know what I mean? And, I guess at the time, so this is the In Your 20s podcast. So I was in my 20s at the time. I was 23, 24 about the time when I went in on video and photo. And, just, it was just like practicing the craft, doing a bunch of free stuff. I'm one of those people, I'm like, if you're starting out, do as much free stuff as possible to just sharpen your skills. And then eventually, you can start getting paid. But I did that, one of the first videos I actually ever did was for my aunt. My aunt had a sangria company.
Hey.
So I'm like, hey, entrepreneur, like in the family,
Shout out to Tia.
Shout out to Tita, I love you. And so so she had a event at Tinley Park. It was like a brew and wine, basically like a beer and wine convention, right?
Right.
So I basically, she's like, oh, I see you like to do videos. Like, do you want to do one? And I'm like, all right. And so I did it. Again, like, I think another thing that kind of helped me was like, I did get some naysayers from some family. I also had a lot of positive reinsurance from other family. Like, oh, Mijo, like, you're really good at this. Like, you should really like go for it. And my tia was one of those people too. And so I went in on it. She loved it. And then I want to say like a couple of years went by. I met my business partner, Gerard, at the end of 2019.
Okay.
Literally pandemic eve.
Pandemic eve?
Yeah, like fall of that year. And then we're like, okay, hey man, like, you like to do video, I like to do video, maybe we should like join, forces, right? And we kind of messed around with the idea. Again, we're still learning, we're still getting our, practicing our craft. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of was, everybody's path is a little different. Some are quicker than others. I kind of, again, having to work a job, having to balance a lot of stuff, it was a little bit slower for me to learn stuff. But
right.
Once, we got together, we kind of started doing a lot more things, and then pandemic happened, and we're like, oh shit, okay, what do we do now? And we did get some videos in that year. We were doing the whole mask thing. We shot a couple of music videos that were really fun.
Oh, dope.
Yeah. And and then after that, honestly, man, like, we just, the last 4 years, we've just been like, just building up. Like, every single year, we're just doing better than the last year. And it's like almost kind of like the speed at which we're growing is like 10x. Like, after those couple of years that we kind of just grinded and struggled and like trying to figure out our way. So I tell everybody on this pod, if you're in your mid 20s, early 20s, whatever, like, you got time, man. Like, don't, lose that patience. Just keep going, and eventually you'll get there.
Well, like that, because like I named it In Your 20s, because for all these years, my sister's 28, but I have a lot of cousins that are in their 30s and 40s, and I always hung out with my dad and his friends that are like 40s and 50s and 60s. I named it In Your 20s because everything starts in your 20s. All the doors start opening. People start saying, do this. End of the day, you have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? You're going to have people barking in your ear, positive and negative. Your tia, thank God, she was in the positive side. And I know there's many more people, but you took the leap of faith and chose what you wanted to do. Fast forward 10 years later, you're 30 years old, doing fine, because I know you're working with other people. I've seen on social media you're doing phenomenal.
Thank you.
And who did that? Yourself. You put yourself in that position. And people forget that. People don't realize that in your 20s, everyone's going to do this. A man's life doesn't start beginning until their 30s, because 20s are when you make your mistakes.
Oh, I'm a huge believer in that. And at first I thought that was bullshit. And I used to like be really hard on myself about that. I was like, man, I'm like 25. I'm like, fuck, I should have made it by now. Oh, damn, I'm 26. And then honestly, the older I got and the closer I got to 30, I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. It's like,
not.
Yeah. So don't be afraid of turning 30, guys. It's not that bad. You'll be fine.
No, it's bad. And then when people say in your 20s, like you just said, oh, I'm not in my 20s or 20s anymore. I know you're joking around, but it's like, in your 20s is therapy and a podcast, but in your 20s where, like I said, foundation where everything starts.
Yeah.
All these mixed feelings, ideas, doors closing, heartbreaks, all this stuff starts coming from my experience. Everyone knows this. I went through my heartbreak, but I didn't let it stop me. It closed a lot of doors, but also to it open. Either you choose to go or not. Gary Vee, like you said, it's a mentor to you. You don't know him, but he's touching you. No diddy. But mentally and spiritual to you to begin that. But I want to say this, Sebastian. So you met your business partner, started doing this. When did you see the sign of success? Like, when did you say, oh, shoot, like, we're getting some traction. Like, we got to do this.
So I started, oh, by the way, you mind if I spark this?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, guys, I am a pro pro weed, so don't judge me.
It's legal here in Illinois. It's
is.
legal in the United States, so
It
take
is.
it easy, boys.
Oh, I got a little birthday candle, make a wish. Okay. You want to know what I wish for?
What'd you wish? Wait, is it cool if I drop this in a chino? I'm gonna place it right here. I am.
Drop a
Nicotina.
Zinni Chino, my friend.
No.
Oh, wait.
I dropped. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll
I
pick it
thought you
up.
wanted another one. Okay. I wish we have a great time doing this pod. That was my
bro.
wish.
Bro, it's gonna be a phenomenal one. But
So, your question, I'm sorry.
when did you guys see like a sign of success where you're like, whoa, we have some traction here, bro. Like let's actually put all gas in it.
So, yes. Great question. That was honestly last year. Last year around April, I met through my barber the co-owners of Evo magazine. They're a barber/salon magazine based out of the UK,
Okay.
and they have a pretty big following here in the US, like
Okay.
amongst barbers and stylists. We didn't know that. I had no idea how big that industry was.
Okay.
And so we met, through Instagram DM. She's like, oh, I know a guy who needs a videographer. Like, I'll give him your information. He hit me up. We negotiated, a rate and everything for us to go shoot. We showed up at, the first show we did was American Beauty Show in
Okay.
Chicago. It's at the Donald E. Stevens. It's in Rosemont.
Okay.
Everybody, if you're from Chicago, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, I'll spark that again in a second. But so we ended up doing the show, right? And we met them. We were like, dude, we got to pull out all the stops. Like, we got to bring all the gear. We got to make it look fancy. We got to bring the cinema rig. We got to bring the lights, everything.
Everything. Yeah.
They didn't expect us to come fully strapped as we did, And so we did, and we shot a bunch of interviews. We shot a bunch of content for them, and they loved us. They loved us. We got to know the guys, build a relationship.
Right.
That's another big thing about this industry. It's all about relationship building
Networking.
and networking.
Right? Yep.
Networking. Like who you meet today, you don't know, like 6 months from now, they're going to be like, hey, I remember that dude. And he like did an awesome video. Like, I should hire him for a job.
Yep.
Like, so remember that.
Yep.
So they loved us. And then we were talking, kind of going over the edits. And then we're like, hey, boys, we have another convention happening in like 2 weeks in Connecticut. Like, do you want to come? And we're like, yeah. And then literally immediately after that, in the same message, same day, they're like, oh, and we have another one in Orlando like 10 days after that. And we're like, yeah. So
Coming.
I'm like, yeah, we'll do that. I'm like, and I had never, like, that was like my whole thing, like dream. Like, I never thought like I was going to be able to like fly and travel with my camera. Like, oh man. And so,
And getting paid for it.
and getting paid.
Yeah,
That's what I'm fucking saying. I was like, that was like insane to me at the time. I had no fucking idea like that was even a possibility. And my business owner and I, we used to live together, had an apartment, and we would talk about it. Like, man, how cool would it be if we like got to travel and stuff for this stuff? And then it was happening.
Oh, dope.
It was like, it's literally happening. And so, we did it. And then I think like my moment where I was like, oh shit, like this is happening, was like, we were on the plane going, I want to say, yeah, I think it was to Connecticut. And then same thing in Orlando. And I'm on the plane. And I'm like, dude, like, we're fucking doing it, man. Like, this is awesome. And then that whole year, literally every other show that they had in the U.S., we would travel. We went to, after Orlando, we did Las Vegas, and then we did Salt Lake City.
Oh, shoot.
And that was it. But, we loved it. We loved the traveling. We loved like the experience of like getting to leave and like have adventures and like do what we love. And that was a sign. They were like, hey, this is going in the right direction. But then also gave us that like push to be like, okay, like
This is real.
This is real. So
Yeah.
you can't like you can't push on the brakes. Like, you got to go full,
Yep.
like pedal to the floor gas.
Yep.
And so that's what we did. And then the following year, this year, we've just like grown like exponentially. Like, we had another client who's, we're flying out to California like in 3 weeks to LA to do a shoot. We're doing Vegas again. We just did those states I had mentioned earlier this year.
With those cuts too. I saw
What's that?
Los Cadets, the headquarters.
Yeah. We shot with Los Cut It, like shout out to him. He's the G, the GOAT. We met, Directed X Carlos. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I've seen him on social media. Yeah, I've seen him.
He's an awesome like friend, supporter. Like, we just met so many cool people, and this year is just we've grown exponentially. And then on top of that, the growth I guess I got from doing content with my boy Johnny VD. He's like a TikToker, like comedy sketch, person, right? I shot a lot of his content, and I was in a couple of his videos.
So you're an actor too as well now,
I
man.
do part-time acting. I'm like, everyone's telling me that, and I'm like, no, I like it. It's fun, but getting to experience stuff with him and him bringing him along, and I'm meeting people there, telling them about what I do and stuff, and it's great, man. And I would say, we're well on our way to, like, I recently just left my job. I shouldn't say left. I got fired. Let's be honest.
But it made you go full time on this.
Yes. I went full time, and I said, all right, like, and you mentioned something earlier about like heartbreak. I went through that as well, and losing the job, and I'm like, okay, like, fuck it. Like, I'm gonna go all in. We're doing it full time, and that's what we're doing. And that's, we're here.
Bro, that's phenomenal to hear too as well. But I also want to ask you this, because it's very important for people in the back end that don't really see this side of the story. What investment do you have to make with starting this, like, equipment wise, and also to mentally preparing yourself and like, okay, like, I'm gonna spend this amount of money to start in your savings or whatever you have in your checkings, but also to believe it in yourself, like, you know what, this is a leap of faith. There's no looking back.
Well, to be honest, man, I mean, I didn't really do that leap of faith with too much prep time, and I was going through a lot of stuff, but I think it's kind of like my opinion is you're never really gonna be 100% ready. I think, like, you're always gonna have something like, oh, well, when I do this, like, then I'll quit, or when I get to here, then I'll quit. And honestly, I think it's good to have a plan. It's good to have like to have a goal, and when you actually do hit that goal, like, follow through. Like, I think that's awesome. But like, a lot of people, they call it like analysis paralysis, and they're kind of like, like, overthink the situation. I did that for a while
And never execute.
And so I think some people just have to just take the leap of faith regardless of whatever they got going on. And then, I'm a big believer, like, you're going to sink or you're going to swim, and you're going to figure it out.
You have to fail to get back up, to keep going. But also too, like, what gear do you actually need to start though? Because I know you have your own media company, Ghost Media. What do you need to start? Like, do you need this fancy gear? Do you need like the $30,000 camera? The ones that we shoot in Pornhub or NXXX, and stuff like that. But like, seriously, like, can you shoot off your iPhone? Because people get creative,
Absolutely. I feel like at the time when I started, iPhones were not that great. You know what I mean? Like, they were, I want to say, what was out? Maybe like the
iPhone 4 at that time?
No. Thinking it was like something like I had the 7 for a hot minute, you know what I mean? And then from the 7, I upgraded to the 13. So honestly, it wasn't until I got the 13 that I was like, oh shit. Oh, wow. I'm like, these iPhones are serious now. But, I did start with a camera. I started with a very basic camera. But nowadays, I would say, like, no, you don't need fancy stuff. You could start on a phone. I tell everybody, and I have people ask me too, like, oh, I want to make, food content. I want to do this. I want to do that. And before, old me would have been like, okay, well, you should at least have a list, like $1,000 just to spend on a camera and a lens and a mic, like basic ass setup. But now I'm just like, nah, man, you got your phone. At best, buy like a wireless mic set. Like a DJI, or even go like what's it called, Hollyland or whatever that brand is, like $125. Like, like, honestly, that's really all you need. And then the phone. And you can do a lot of great content with that. Like my boy Carlos, he uses the phone a ton, and he uses it for paid gigs, and he's just killing it with that. It's
how you edit it, right? Too. It's like the software you use and all that, right? Too.
How you edit it, how you shoot it. Like you can use tools. Like if you do want to get a gimbal, you can. But iPhone stabilization like is still pretty good, like on the hand.
Okay.
But there's tools, there's free apps you can use to get more camera control. Like there's a Blackmagic app that basically turns your camera into something like what we're shooting on right now.
Yeah.
Like it gives you more settings.
Yep.
That kind of thing. But I love using my cameras. I'm a camera snob. I love new toys, and so I do spend money on toys. But no, I would say I would start over, I would start just with a phone.
Just a phone?
Yeah.
And just for the settings too, because I'm asking these questions because a lot of people, I get questions too. It's like, how do I start? What do I shoot at? What software? What mics? All this? Oh my God, it's $5,000. I'm like,
Zinachino too.
a Zinachino.
Yeah.
A lower upper decky.
I'm a lower decky guy.
Lower decky. But to make like a high quality video, let's just say in your opinion, because you make viral videos for people. Like that's what you shoot for. Like I've seen them. Like they're going viral. What's a perfect setting to adjust, let's just say on a phone, but also to import it into Final Cut, CapCut, DaVinci? What's a good formula for you? A simple technique. Nothing crazy. Just to make it nice and good for an Instagram reel.
Well, honestly, I mean, shooting in 4K, I personally shoot 24 for that cinematic quality. Oh, we just had a light go out. Oh, man. But I shoot 24 if you want it to look like a movie, basically like how this looks right now. But I do know a lot of people are starting to shoot in 30 frames per second and even 60 frames per second. Like Johnny, for example, the guy my TikToker guy that I shoot for, he likes to shoot in 60. And I think, it really just depends on your taste, but 4K for sure. Don't shoot anything less than that. If you have a 15, 16's coming out, 2 months?
Yeah, bro, it's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. I still have the 13. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, do I upgrade? No, I might wait another year. But, if you have a 15, shoot ProRes, ProRes, they don't have ProRes Raw, just ProRes. Shoot it like that if you really want like high quality. Like you've seen like the ads Apple comes out with. I mean, they're using a bunch of other stuff too, like tools, like external lenses and stuff. But even just like the base shots look just fucking phenomenal.
It's crazy, man, because you could just start so simple. But now let's get a little bit to the high tech. Now we know AI is taking over.
Yes.
A lot of people are using AI. You just showed me a software too that's AI. It's called what was the name?
Luminar.
Luminar.
Yeah.
All these AI softwares. What do you think how big of an impact is AI going to take in the video gig world? Like videographers, editing, is it going to replace jobs? I keep hearing that. Or is it the people that take advantage of AI that are going to take other people's jobs?
I agree with the last thing. So like for a hot second was like, okay, might be a problem. AI. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like Terminator, like all that shit. No. But seriously, once I started implementing AI, like into like the tools I was using, like Luminar, I love that program. It's getting there. It's getting better. I think like right now, Adobe has probably the best AI right now, generative fill. But the moment I started using more of those tools in my workflow, it just lets me work faster, lets me work more efficiently, and I don't think AI is going to take jobs away from videographers and photographers. It's a tongue twister there. I think, if anything, people who take advantage of it, people who use it, people who, aren't afraid of like new innovations, like they're going to be the ones that survive. And then people who get scared and like, oh, I don't want to do that, they're going to be, left behind. That's just like the way it is.
Just how it goes.
Yeah. But AI cannot replace a human person. It could do a lot. Again, we've seen like what it can do in like the short amount of time
For sure.
that it's been around, right? But it's still lacking that human element, that human like creativity, that idea, that spark. It could recreate a version of an idea, but the originality of that idea still requires a human brain to think. And you still need human input. You still need, like, for example, like recently, I don't know if we could talk about it.
No, yeah, go ahead.
But it's controversial, but the whole Trump thing,
For
Trump
sure.
assassination, thing, that just happened, attempt. That photographer, I don't know if you've seen that shot.
The one he goes like this, fight?
He's like, dude, that shot is so like take away all politics aside, I'm that shot is beautiful. It is iconic, and like
100%.
an AI can't capture that.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that he has the flag behind him, he's got the blood on his cheek, he's got his fists in the air. It's like that is a moment in time, like split-second decision that requires a human being to do, and AI just can't do that. And
Speaks
so
1,000. You can feel the image,
right? Yeah, that emotion that comes from it, like an image, like a really good photo speaks 1,000 words.
Yep.
And it's just something that I just think that, you know, humans are still, you know, we're the best at, you know?
I like that answer. No. It's I'm telling you, like, I hear these AI talks and all this stuff, like it's in every single industry, but I like you're taking advantage of that, and I see it in your work too as well. And you were just showing me too, which is funny enough. But now I'm going to pivot a little bit for the Ghost Media Company, because now that's been alive for maybe 4 years, right? Or so?
Yeah. 4 or 5, yeah.
Who would you want, or what is a dream of you and your partner right now, your business partner, that you would like to film for? What company, and also to what celebrity, you know? And this could happen in the next 6 months. 6 months to a year, man. Keep that in mind.
If this pod blows up, what do I, oh shit. That is a good question, man. I would say a dream company to shoot for. I would probably go with a company that I use a lot, something like DJI or Sony, or that would be like, I use Sony cameras. I love them. And DJI makes amazing drones. I have one, the Mini 3 Pro, great camera, or great drone. And so probably one of those companies, but honestly, like, shit, if Nike wants to hit me up.
To check the bag, bro.
Check the bag, you know, just do it, man.
Dang, no, seriously, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, you know, working for these companies is actually pretty dope, but you're also too directing. Like, I thought you were gonna say like you would want to direct a movie. I don't know if that's in your
that for sure
vision.
No, that is for sure. Like I that is like the goal. Like I think like I really resonate with like cinematography and like storytelling aspect through filmmaking. I'm not the best writer, I'll admit, but that is something I'm working on, and also would like to I'm like a person that I love to collaborate with other creatives, you know, like I know I'm a big believer, like you could be really good at one thing, but you're not going to be good at another thing.
Yep.
So like if I'm really good at, you know, cinematography, right?
Yeah.
And gear and editing and all that stuff, but I lack like certain storytelling techniques and writing, I would collab with somebody who's really good at that.
For sure.
And, you know, give them writing credit. And it's just like part of, I think like in this creative industry, like working together and like 2 heads and 3 heads are better than one. Just like it just lifts everybody up, and it's so much more like, I feel like you could just do bigger things when you have more people involved. But definitely I would love to shoot a movie, maybe like a short film in the next year or so. So we'll see. Be on the lookout. I'm just saying that right now, but if I watch this pod and look back, that's going to give me the motivation to do it.
Well, dude, like anything's possible, and I like that because you bring back network, and you have network because you can't do everything alone. You have to build an empire. You need other people to help you out too as well.
Yeah.
And with that being said, I mean, just like you're doing a great job, phenomenal with Ghost Media here, 4 years, and you guys are doing all this stuff right now, taking over. You can't take one day off, pretty much.
Pretty much, man. It's everyday thing. You work in entrepreneurship, you work 24/7 to avoid the 9 to 5.
100%.
Yeah.
But also too, in this business, mistakes happen. So
Yes.
I want to ask you, has there been like a moment where you just weren't prepared, or just something failed, like SD card got full, it's something?
Oh, yeah, dude. Oh, I got a story about that. Oh, let me take a swig. All right. So, so that happened literally the first show we shot with Evo Magazine at Chicago. So we were filming on my A7 IV, and no knock to Sony, no knock to the camera, but I mean, we were shooting a lot of interviews. It does pretty good with people saying there's overheating issues. I never experienced it until that day. And so, but we were just shooting back to back interviews.
Okay.
And we were literally interviewing one of like the top people at Ulta Beauty, right?
Okay.
And mid-interview, I got the heat warning, the overheat warning. I'm like, shit. Well, I'm like, okay. I'm like, maybe we can go for a few more minutes. I'm like, hopefully this is like interview ends soon. But they're just talking, and I'm like, please stop talking. Please stop talking. And so, and then literally maybe like 2 minutes later, the camera just shut off. Just just shut off mid interview. I had to stop everything. I was like, oh, and I was freaking out,
bro.
and I called my business partner went to go get B-roll, with the other camera. I call him, and I'm like, get your fucking ass back here right now. I'm like, I need this other camera, please. And then he ran over here, swapped cameras, swapped everything, and then we just like kept going. But that's the thing, like mistakes are gonna happen, and when they do happen, you just have to have that like ability to like think on your feet and be like, okay, like you got to problem solve like on the dot. Like what can I do right now to fix the problem or to like get through the shoot to where I could at least save a good chunk of it in post, you know?
Yep.
And so, but obviously like I'm over prepare. Like I over prepare for everything. Like whenever I go on flights, I'm like, I overpack. I fly Southwest. I use that 2 check bag. You know,
you have to, man. You have to. With mistakes, like it's gonna happen too. But like when you make it once, you don't want it to happen again.
Exactly.
Has there ever been a moment where maybe a client hasn't been that satisfied, that maybe demotivated you, but still, you know, you're gonna keep going, of course. But
yeah, I mean, as a creative person, I think we are very prone to like sensitivity to like, you know, criticism about our art, because that's like what we come out. It comes out of our hearts. It comes out of our minds. And then anybody says something kind of negative about it, we're kind of like, ooh, like, fuck. Even, and I'm still guilty of that. I do that from time to time, but I have to check myself and check my ego. And at the end of the day, it's like, if you're in this business to satisfy a client, to make content, to make social media, and they have a certain demographic, they have a certain customer base they have to hit, they have to, you know, hit a certain, you know, amount of customers flowing in, you know, you gotta take those criticisms like on the chin.
Yep.
And just like, okay, all right, what can I do to make them happy?
Yep.
Okay, we can fix it. And yeah, you may not like it, but a big thing I always tell other people, it's like, you can edit something that, yeah, the customer may love it because it's like specifically what they want.
Yeah.
And you may not like, I would have done this, I would have done that. That's what director's cuts are for. That's what, you know what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. That's what when you like show your work to other people, they're like, this was my creative vision. You could show them that, and you know, it could be better. And you're just like, oh yeah, they love it, you know, and they're not going to know the difference.
Yeah. Well, you're selling them your services. You're like, yo, I can do this and that. But at the end of the day, if they're happy, you're doing the job, regardless if you agree with them or not.
Right.
That's why I'm asking too, is like, how do you soak in like, you know, the criticism? Because we all have to get criticism to be better, to do better, to become better.
Right.
And so now hitting 30, man, what do you want to do by 40? Like, what do you want to accomplish by 40, bro? 40. The next 10 years.
10 years, man. Ooh, I'm going to watch this back. 10 years from now. By 40, I want to have directed a feature film. And I want to have grown my company to the point where I can basically have a team of people, you know what I mean? Like under me.
For sure.
That we can do commercials, you can do music videos, like small short films, that kind of thing. Like a production company, pretty much.
Yeah.
And be able to just be, you know, call the shots, you know, and work on the things that I want to work on. And then at the same time, helping build up other creative people who want to like succeed in this industry, and teach them and show them like you can do it. And, you know, just build other people up.
Based in Chicago, or do you want to go somewhere else?
I love Chicago, man. I love it. I have played with the idea of going elsewhere, but honestly, like I have family here. I grew up here. I love the vibe of the city. And yeah, like gas is expensive, you know, like rent is going up, man. It's not cheap in here, you know, man.
A studio nowadays, I think it's like $1,800 just for a decent one, bro.
Decent one, unless you're trying to live in the hood, man. Yeah. I'm like, hey, like, you know, like, yeah, it's getting there, but I think just something about Chicago, and it's growing as a hot spot for film photography. Like we have shows like The Bear.
Yep.
We have Empire. Is that Chicago?
Yeah, it's Chicago.
Okay, we have you know, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire. We have, you know, all these things that are going on.
Shameless was shot here
Shameless, dude. We have all these things going on here, and I think it's gonna become one of the top, you know, media creative cities, like after LA. I mean, LA's still, you know, up there, and New York, obviously I've been to New York. I love it. You know, but I just think I just love this, the city. I think we have great food, best food in the world.
Fast food.
Best food.
Diverse too as well.
Diverse. You have everything you can think of.
Well, so Chicago's always been like a hotspot for I want to say the past 50 years in music and film and everything.
Yeah.
Why haven't we already become the hot spot? Like, why haven't we already become,
I don't know.
like, beat LA?
That's so weird. I don't know. Like, that is like
Do we
a good question.
Like, do you think we gatekeep as a city?
Maybe a little bit. I think we're very proud as a city. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're very I lived in the city for a while, and I was I could be guilty of that too, but like it's I feel like it's all in good fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a good question. I don't know, but I know it is changing. Like I remember like a couple years ago, like people, I would see vloggers, right, like in LA and New York, David Dobrik, Casey Neistat, and they were like killing the game, and it was so like you can go there and nobody would bat an eye that somebody was like holding a camera in front of them, like documenting their life, right? And I feel like in Chicago, like you would do that, and like this is like back a while back, but like you would do that and people would just be like, what the fuck is that guy doing?
This happened to me 2 weeks ago. Like I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no.
No. I 100% agree with you, because I feel like when I went to California or Miami or to another state, you put up a vlogging camera.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, he's just shooting in TikTok. You do it here, people look at you weird.
Yeah,
it demotivates
100%. And they're like, what the fuck is that guy's talking to a camera? What a weirdo. Like,
fuck you, you're weird for not responding to me.
Yeah.
No, but dude, I mean, that too as well. Like, people become maybe famous here in Chicago creating content and then go to LA.
Yeah.
Maybe they should stay here. Do you think it's because of the winters? Is it too cold here for people to stay?
It's cold as hell, man. It gets cold. But I mean, like, global warming, man. I feel like it's getting colder later. Like, we would get snow like November, December, and now I feel like it gets freezing like January, February, March into April, and we're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I remember I had a birthday, because my birthday is in April. I had a birthday where it was sunny as hell, beautiful day, spring day, and then I had a birthday where it snowed, and I was like, what?
Like, this is the world's ending, man. No, but Sebastian, I mean, I wanted to keep this at 30-45, not to take over time and stuff, but Sebastian, I mean, with Ghost Media, what are the upcoming projects that's going to happen soon, man?
Upcoming projects. Well, I mentioned we're 3 weeks from now. Yeah, we're gonna go to LA. We're gonna do editorial photo shoot for my client Blonde Solutions. Okay. Shout out to them. Shout out to Eamon. He's a cool guy. And then I think a week or 2 weeks after that, we're going to Vegas with Evo, the magazine that we work with.
Okay.
That's gonna be fun. I play a little blackjack, I don't gamble, but when I go there, I gamble.
Bet the company on there on red.
I had my whole paycheck. Put it all on red. Bam. No, but like, and then after that, I think like sometime October, November, we're gonna go back to Orlando again. We've been to Orlando before this year, so. And then weddings. I know, like, it's like the beauty stuff, and it's very glamorous to travel, but like also I gotta make a paycheck too. So I do weddings, I do like quinces and stuff like that, stuff like that. But yeah, man, and then just making content for myself, for the company, for other people who want to do it, So if you guys need work, we'll put the shit in the bio or something
underneath.
Yeah, Ghost Media, Instagram, website, and then my personal, and then my boy. I'll throw my boy business partner's personal up there too.
I mean, tell the people too, like, what's your social media company? All of them. Throw your ads.
So, follow at Ghost, GOST .media on Instagram. Website, www.ghostmedia.com. My personal Instagram, Sebi, SEBBI.Soto, Sebi Soto. And then my boy's GTO Films. Yeah, on Instagram. So, yeah, that was a lot, but yeah.
Well, Poet, you heard that. Go find that too. That's the same ad on Feet Finder too, as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Feet Finder, yeah. I go by Photo Baggins because I have hobbit feet.
Oh my God. For Sebastian, bro, thank you for hopping on, and the hospitality has been great too as well. Thank you for the water, and it's about anything you want to say. Last word.
Oh, man.
Something you want to say off your mind.
I'm gonna say to all the 20-somethings out there, now's the time to take risks. Take your iPhone, buy a mic, make content, find something you're passionate about that you love and just do it. And then, you know, throw shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Yup.
And then eventually you'll get there.
Sebastian, thank you, man. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Yo,
Thank you,
Pedro.
brother, man, for sure. Boys, so in your 20s,